My name is Cole Birchall. I'm the field investigator and science associate for San Francisco Baykeeper. For more than 30 years, Baykeeper has been the only organization that regularly patrols San Francisco Bay to investigate pollution. We've caught hundreds of polluters red-handed, and we've won hundreds of millions of dollars in legal settlements that protect the Bay and support Bay Area restoration efforts. Now, we're adding a drone to our arsenal of investigation tools. This is Osprey. Using our drone's high-resolution camera, we can more easily monitor hundreds of miles of bay shoreline from the air. That allows our team of experts to investigate trash hotspots, hard-to-reach oil spills, and landlocked industrial facilities. As you can see here, sites like Selby Slag, where 100 years of toxic material are actively eroding into the bay, pose a considerable threat to our bay wildlife and habitat. Some polluters have built barriers that are designed to block our line of sight so that we can't see what they're up to from the water. Using Osprey, we can see their dirty operations from the air. Baykeeper will continue to use our drone to keep an eye on polluters across the Bay Area and also to monitor toxic pollution leaching into the bay from contaminated shoreline sites so that we can more accurately assess the future impacts of sea level rise.
I'm Nicole Sasaki, staff attorney. Baykeeper uses science and the law to hold polluters accountable because we believe the wildlife and people of the Bay Area deserve a healthy environment. We recently had a big victory at the Yerba Buena Island. Baykeeper scientists conducted a review of the Coast Guard's facility located on the island, and they discovered dangerous levels of toxic heavy metals discharging directly from the facility into San Francisco Bay. Our lawyers went to work to hold the federal agency accountable and make sure they followed the rules. By taking legal action, Baykeeper required the agency to control its pollution from its industrial activities, build a boat wash station to eliminate wastewater discharges, and hire an environmental specialist to make sure that the facility's operations stay clean. As an added bonus, the Coast Guard agreed to make sure that its maintenance facilities across the country also reduce their pollution levels in compliance with the Clean Water Act. In addition to science and the law, Baykeeper has a secret weapon. People like you across the Bay who love the Bay and who call Baykeeper's pollution hotline when they see a problem. My favorite example was when our friends from right here at the Dolphin Club reached out to Baykeeper to notify us there was plastic and metal wires in the water while they were swimming, getting in their mouths. It turns out that debris from fireworks shows over the bay were contaminating waterways used by open water swimmers, but no more. The swimmers gave us the information we needed to convince the fireworks company to stop polluting. And we even got the regulatory agency to require permits for fireworks displays over the bay. Baykeeper will continue to take legal action to hold polluters accountable, investigate hundreds of industrial polluters, and follow up on scores of pollution hotline tips.
My name is Ben Eichenberg. I'm a staff attorney with San Francisco Baykeeper. San Francisco Baykeeper enforces laws against polluters, but what happens when those laws have loopholes or aren't strong enough? We take action to strengthen those laws and protect the Bay Area's wildlife and communities. A few years ago, Big Oil decided to try to make the Bay Area its West Coast hubs for Canadian tar sands transport. That's when Baykeeper's lawyers and advocates jumped into action. We couldn't sit back and ignore the threat. Tar sands crude is heavier than conventional oil, so it sinks and makes it nearly impossible to clean up with conventional technologies. That would be devastating in an urban environment where millions of people and hundreds of species depend on the bay. Baykeeper sponsored a new state law to close loopholes and make it more difficult to transport tar sands, crude, and other heavy oils on the bay. This new law now puts into place rigorous requirements for spill cleanup and prevention and requires oil transporters via rail and tanker to inform first responders whenever they're carrying oil in California. And it made the 5 refineries around the bay reconsider their expansion plans, and 2 are now converting to biofuels instead of polluting tar sands, crude oil. Baykeeper will continue to advocate for stronger laws and a just transition to a cleaner energy future to protect the bay from polluters.
Hi, Hi, I'm Sejal Chaksi-Chu, and I'm the Executive Director of San Francisco Baykeeper. I still remember the first time I saw one of the worst bay polluters. It was a beautiful sunny day just like today, and we were zipping along the Richmond shoreline on this very boat. As the skipper and I neared the facility, I saw mountains of toxic black coal towering above the shoreline dock. As we watched, dust from the piles was falling directly into the water. The toxic material was not only polluting the bay, but we knew it was also drifting into nearby neighborhoods, covering school playgrounds and poisoning residents. When Baykeeper catches corporate polluters like this, we kick into gear. Our scientists take samples and collect the evidence, and our legal team takes action. In this case, in 2014, we won a multi-million-dollar agreement that forced the coal company to clean up their site and comply with the Clean Water Act. It was a big win for the Bay and for local residents. But since then, the fossil fuel industry has been increasing their exports across the Bay Area. They've been moving millions of tons of toxic coal through our communities, including eyeing new sites in Oakland and Vallejo, and increasing shipments through Richmond. That's why Baykeeper builds strong partnerships with community groups and local allies. In 2018, we helped the Oakland community stop a coal export terminal. In 2019, we helped Vallejo residents fight a coal and cement facility. And in 2020, we helped Richmond ban the storage of coal and petroleum coke within city limits. We take these battles on because at Baykeeper, we believe everyone has a right to clean water. And thanks to your support, we'll keep holding fossil fuel polluters accountable and win so that the Bay is healthier for you and safe for all the people who live around it.
I'm John Rosenfield, Senior Scientist with San Francisco Baykeeper. Because of climate change, the Bay's waters are predicted to rise up to 3 feet over the next 80 years. And this will inundate low-lying areas, doing damage to infrastructure to the tune of up to $70 billion. Also, up to 42,000 homes and businesses will be inundated by these rising waters. Many low-lying areas around the Bay shoreline can be restored to tidal wetlands. These wetlands filter pollution, provide habitat for wildlife, and capture carbon from the atmosphere, mitigating the effects of climate change. That's why Baykeeper's lawyers took action when the Trump administration tried to say that salt ponds in Redwood City were land and not water, and thus were not protected by the Clean Water Act. Baykeeper and our partners took Trump and Cargill to court, and a judge agreed with us and ruled that Redwood City salt ponds were in fact water connected to San Francisco Bay, and thus deserve protection under the Clean Water Act. This was a resounding victory for San Francisco Bay. In other areas, encroaching bay waters can reactivate old threats. Baykeeper has documented 1,100 toxic sites in low-lying areas around the bay that can be inundated by the bay's rising waters. When the bay's waters reach these toxic sites, they'll spread pollution into local communities and wildlife habitats. We can already see that process beginning at this site in Richmond, which was formerly owned by AstraZeneca. Baykeeper is now working with state agencies and local communities to make sure these polluted sites are cleaned up in ways that remove the dangerous toxins. Baykeeper will continue to protect the Bay's shoreline in order to make sure that it can withstand the negative effects of climate change.
So it was 25 years ago, New Year's Day, when I made my first swim out to Alcatraz with the Dolphin Club, or from Alcatraz to the city. And it was the first year that I became a Baykeeper skipper. And the two are related to me because as much as I love the water and I grew up on the bay and I grew up swimming, but somehow there's this moment where you decide to become a keeper. And I felt like if I had the enjoyment and the privilege to live in this incredible ecosystem in this incredible city, that part of that was to be a keeper. And for me, being a keeper, and for my family, being keepers, it's a lifelong commitment. It's what we do, it's what we feel like as part of being citizens in San Francisco Bay. So I want to thank you for coming out tonight on our Zoom dinner. But I want to say one other thing to you. I've had the chance now to work with the Baykeeper staff for over a decade. I started as a board member, I was former board chair, and I'm now the head of the True Blue Leadership Circle. I donate to Baykeeper because of its impact, but its impact is drawn directly through the staff that works there. I've never had the chance to work with a group of people who are as determined, educated, strategic, relentless as they are in keeping this bay clean. So your support is going to go directly to them and to their thoughts and work to make this bay as beautiful as it is, and ideally even more so in the future.